for displaying monitor 1. I apologize that my video quality, I don't watch my own gameplay as I talk about the game, because I would rather not use someone else's stuff without asking them. So we're not going to do any of that. Yes, you guys can see my banner twice, and the reason for that, you can also see 2 of me. That's because it's on the screen. It's also above the screen because that's the recent one. You want to be on the recent one. That's cool. Anyways, yeah, I've had time to sit on how long it took me to like play DNF Duel. I only got to play DNF Duel, the beta, for about 5 hours. I was a little busy Friday, didn't remember how to download it. As soon as I got off stream, got it to download, tried it out Saturday after my normal stream. So I did a double stream Saturday, and then I also streamed in the morning on Sunday, and then played throughout the day on Sunday as well. It's a fun game. I have a lot to say about it. I think I have a little bit to say about the game. Like, I'm not an anime fighter. I'm not really a guy who really does a lot of anime fighters, so I don't have too much to say about the game. But there is a few things that I have to say, and from a person who never really played a lot of anime fighters outside of Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? I didn't really play Melty Blood, didn't play a lot of Blaze Blue, been try and strive, right? But coming from non-anime games, like coming from like 3D fighters and more traditional 2D fighters like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, things like that, the game feels closer to those than it does to an anime fighter, right? It has a lot of mechanics, a lot of meter mechanics, a lot of interesting things like conversion, which should add a lot of depth later on in the game. But the game feels more like a 2D-esque Street Fighter styled game than it does like an air dash fighter, like a Blaze Blue cross tag battle or a Blaze Blue in general, right? It feels way closer to things. That's kind of a big thing for me. Hey, first, I have a first command. It only costs 1 point, so you could technically use it if you want. Hey, Stella, how you doing? Yeah, but so in my positives, I want to say, first of all, the game is extremely simple out of base level. I went from mashing AA and B and C or S, my bad, AA, and 2A and 5B and like the special moves S and MS. I went from mashing those buttons from a matter of a few matches to literally learning my base bread and butters that I've seen other people doing in a matter of minutes. Like, even without a training mode, even without a move list or frame data, it's kind of easy to catch on to the way a game like this flows, right? Maybe at the very beginning, if you don't look at a YouTube guide or like find combo videos or anything like that, you're gonna be doing inoptimal things, but you'll still be doing cool things. And it's very easy to go from literally doing normals only into specials only into chaining those things together, right? Like with Crusader, a thing like AA or 5AA into 214, I'm sorry, 236 MS or 6 MS, right? Do the mirror, right? So AA mirror, AA heavenly charge, right? It's very easy to learn that, get into that, and then apply it to other characters. I did the same thing with Inquisitor. And speaking of Inquisitor, I think that the archetypes in this game are phenomenal, right? The mid-range is very strange because a lot of characters, most characters in the game, as a matter of fact, have very large, big, windy buttons, which I consider a good thing for the most part. There are some downsides to that. But they do have very big, windy buttons, right? They're just big, wacky, giant, almost full screen-esque normals, right? But even with all of that happening, every character still has just a touch, like a hint of uniqueness to them, right? So there's a character with true full screen normals in Ranger, and Ranger feels totally different from other characters with very long range normals like Glowsblade, right? And like characters like Vanguard feel vastly different from Ranger and Ghostblade because they all have this like very natural feeling inherent gimmick that makes them different from other characters in the roster. As you can see, this guy is shitting on me in like a closer situation, and I should probably be doing something about it. Anyways, I like the archetypes. They do feel unique while feeling simple enough for you to understand, like start to pick it up even if you've never played the character before. I've already mentioned the fact that there are very funny, super big, wacky buttons. Let's just go with the one that everyone knows: Inquisitor's back magic special, right? Back MS, 214 MS or 4 MS. It's a fucking flaming wheel. It's a flaming wheel that your opponent is stuck in the corner against if they block it, right? You have to use one of the other great things in the game, the universal defensive options, like the reversal. I tried to conversion there, like the reversal or like the what's it called? The reversal or the guard cancel, the alpha counter, whatever you want to call it, to get out of that kind of pressure. Otherwise, those big windy buttons are just there. They're just hitting you a lot, making you have to block things. and it's very funny to watch. It's very funny, and it's a little wacky in a sense that most fighting games don't have something like that. I really enjoyed these past few betas. I'm excited for the full game. I am too, Shadow Fury. Hey, Death Punch, how are you doing? I'm also really excited. I'm not really an anime fighter kind of guy, and this really speaks to like the normal 2D. Let's just keep going. The normal 2D fighter player in me, right? Like I played NRS games, I played Injustice, I played Mortal Kombat. I really like games like that, and this feels way closer to those than it does to something along the lines of a Guilty Gear or a Blaze. Kind of like the same way Granblue did, but there just wasn't a lot of things in Granblue that really spoke to me. I like the meter system a lot. I like how you are rewarded for using the special inputs, but it's not something that you have to do. You can play the game by just doing 2MS, 4MS, 6MS, and 5MS. You don't have to do 236MS or 214MS or 623. 623? Yeah, 623MS. You don't have to do those things. And if you do, your mana regenerates faster. So there's a slight reward for actually doing the right thing, but then there's also just the simplicity of being able to get in there and understand the character and do what it looks like anyone else is going to be able to do, right? You're going to be able to do a full striker combo with the basic ones without having to use the special versions of it. It's very nice. There are, other than, I guess I have one more positive thing to talk about. I like the universal options. I am a big fan of every character having a guard cancel, every character having conversion, right? It's like a Roman cancel, essentially. You give away your white life to continue or make a combo or pressure sequence bigger. I'm getting mauled in the corner here. I really dig that. I love how that works. Like, it feels like Baroque from Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. From anyone if you guys have ever played Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, you know what Baroque is. It feels very similar to Baroque, and I really like that. The netcode is great, and then every character has a DP. They're all unique. They don't all hit at the same angle. They don't all hit at the same speed, but every character has a reversal, and it feels like, if I'm not mistaken, that reversals, that the down MS, right, that 2MS loses to throws. So they are very powerful in the way that they work, where they're phenomenal anti-airs. Maybe later people will find safe jump setups for a lot of them, but they're phenomenal anti-airs, but they're also very easy to bait and punish, right? You can just get a full counter hit punish if you block one, or you can use the throws to beat it. I don't know if you can tech the throw afterwards. I'm not entirely sure, but I never fucking tech the throw when someone threw my reversal, so I don't know. Ooh, that was a sick conversion. Wish I had done more often, but that was. There are a few negatives, unfortunately. As there are for every good thing, there are also bad things that go along with said good thing. First negative, and this is probably the most shallow of them: Arxis lobbies. God, do I fucking hate Arc System Works lobbies. I hate the lobby systems in these fucking anime fighters. Just let me hit ranked match or player match and queue up and play the game. I don't want to sit at a fucking arcade cabinet or in a lobby and like try to ready up with people. I don't want to do that. I don't want a weird social aspect. I just want to play the game. There's like a very funny social aspect with some shooting games, like Apex Legends doesn't have a lobby, but Warzone has a lobby. Warzone has a little lobby when the game starts, or as you enter the match. Fortnite has it too, right? But in other styles of games, like watch League of Legends, you just queue up. You just hit Q. You queue up, and then you just play the game. I kind of enjoy that experience more, and especially with how many anime fighters have these lobbies, and they're still not great. They're still very frustrating to get in and out of matches quickly. I'd rather just have a queue system where I can just queue up for a game and just be done with it. See, there we go. Just threw me out of my reversal there. That was actually really good that I mentioned that earlier, and then it came up. Another thing is, it feels really slow-paced. The movement for how big these buttons are, because there are very big buttons, for the movement for how big these buttons are, just does not feel like it mixes well. It doesn't, right? So you have the roll to get in, and then you just have dashing, right? And there's no straight-up dash blocking for the most part, because you have to hit a button to block while dash blocking. So that does make for some very interesting situations where like you feel like you dash block something. Need you to solve 3 equations before you get to access lobbies. That's literally how it feels in this game. You're absolutely right, McGee. Excuse me, sir. Can you show me that you know how to do Pythagorean theorem? Have you used cosine, sine, and tangent today? If not, you can't play in this lobby. So it really feels as if there's like a disparity between how big the buttons are and how fast the movement is. Some of the characters like Striker and Grappler, specifically Striker and Kunoichi, move very fast, move extremely fast and have very close range buttons, right? Inquisitor's kind of closer to mid range, but Striker moves very fast and has the speed and the get in options that a lot of characters are missing, right? I think the Grappler, for how close range he is, cannot get in. It really feels like when you're playing Grappler, if you're not in, that character loses to every character in the game minus Striker, right? Because Striker also kind of wants to be in your face. These slow buttons, I mean, these big buttons, look at that. These big buttons and, like, for the most part, slow and unsafe movement do not. The Striker player is making it work relatively well, but I think for the most part, it's gonna hinder this game and make it like one of those wait and see style games where you wait for your opponent to whiff something and then move in and don't even attempt to get a punish. You just close in that distance and make it so it feels like almost Tekken-like, where in, oh my gosh, that combo is sick. Where in Tekken, what you're doing a lot of times is you're not baiting something that has low whiff recovery and then punishing. You're baiting someone and then moving in, for space control, not moving in to try to get an action. Those are all gone. Easy peasy. I just removed the messages. I don't care. I'm not gonna be banning bots. I don't want my bots list filled with bans. Anyways, the next bad thing, but I don't really like that I want to talk about, is I feel like what this game might devolve into, because of the fact that there's a guard crush meter, is endless corner loops if you don't have a reversal that reaches or a guard cancel that reaches. Endless corner loops with things like the wheel, things like Kunoichi's flame tornado, and then the apocalypse cannon from Crusader, things like that like kind of loop and leave your opponent in blocks them for a long time. You just kind of want to, and Berserker as well, and you really want to like rinse those options when your opponent is stuck in the corner and force them into a situation where they free guard crush. And if that's going to be the end game for this game, it might be kind of boring, because that means the vast majority of the things that you want to do are just slowly walk your opponent down to the corner and then start your actual game. A lot of games, especially like in these 2D, like these standard 2D fighters, you can play anywhere on the screen. Sure, you don't get the same like super cool conversions outside the corner, but you still do get to play. It really feels like, with how slow the game is, right? How big the buttons are, how slow the movement is, how there's a block button, which is a little questionable. We'll get into that in a little bit. That it's going to be one of those wait and see style games, and because of that, oh, that was sick. That was really cool. I'm sick. I'm less sick. Damn. I'm more sick. The way that feels, it feels like later on in the game, people are just going to devolve into guard crush pressure. And that leaves me a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I don't have much more to say except for the fact that, on the negative front at least, I don't like guard buttons in 2D fighting games. That really ruins a lot of the extra complexity this game could have, right? There was a situation right there where if I go back, you guys can see that. Go back. So right here, there's a dive kick and then immediate jump. I'm pausing this so you guys can see. Immediate jump, dive kick again, right? Maybe there's some sort of a situation where that could hit on either side, where that could hit as a two-way mix-up, overhead block front or overhead block backwards. With a block button, that's not the case now. Now you only have to worry about overhead or low, so it just kind of just becomes strike throw, which is a little boring, especially for one of these like anime fast-paced like big button fighters. You kind of expect more like wackiness, right? There's these big wacky buttons like Berserker buttons, like Inquisitor buttons, and even some things that Crusader has. But with a block button, a lot of that just feels like, okay, now I'm just gonna do this and do a tick throw, or now I'm gonna do this and do a strike throw setup, right? Because my jumps, like I'm gonna jump at you when I have you in a bunch of block stun, and the mix is like delayed low if my character has one, because I don't think Crusader does. Delayed low or overhead, right? Or strike throw. And that can be kind of shitty, especially once you mix in the fact that there's a block button, and now you don't have to worry about a cross-up aspect, which would have just immediately added more to the mix when it comes to pressure. That's something I would like to see worked on. Maybe if you're holding the block button, whatever direction you're holding when you already are pressing the block button, you don't turn around. Because you do currently. So it completely mitigates cross-ups. I've crossed people up, and that's how I know they're not using the block button. And if they were, I wouldn't have been able to get the cross-up like I did. Right? Because I blocked something on the other side with the block button, and it was a punishable thing. Right? I don't understand how you're going to have like these weird like go through your opponent buttons, like ghost blades, like slash through nothing personnel kid type shit, and that be fully like not reversal proof, being cross up proof because of the block button. Right? It's punishable if you block it, but it's also cross up proof because there's a block button. It just doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like something else I can say about DNF Duel. I think that like perfectly sums up my like thoughts on the technical aspects of the game. When it comes to just playing the game, I find it loads of fun. I had so much fun. Of course, I'm going to find things that I like about it and things that I dislike about it. I'm going to talk about those things because we should, right? No game is truly perfect. You can love a game to death, like I love Soul Calibur to death, but it's not perfect, and no game ever will be. So there's nothing wrong with critiquing and criticizing a game and talking about the things that you think could be different. And that's what I'm doing here with DNF Duel today. There's nothing else I could really say about the game. It's loads of fun right now. I'm not sure if that fun's going to last a really long time. People do seem to think that this is going to be one of those very simple games where after you play it for a few weeks, it's one of those, I'll pick it up every time I go to locals, I'll play in like the side tournament, but I'm not going to main this game because people think that it's one of those slower, more simple games. And while that is a good thing to certain people and a good thing in certain situations, like right now, I really like how simple the game is because its flaws are less apparent, right? Like other than the fact that the combat is very simple, its flaws are less apparent. You can get in there and start doing cool stuff immediately. And a lot of the mix-ups, a lot of the mind games of fighting games are really shown on full display because everyone can do those very simple things that are doing the same cool things that anyone else can. I think I died here, by the way. Oh, wow, I didn't. I'm sick. Do I bring this comeback? No shot. No shot. I gotta watch this. I don't even remember if I ran this comeback. I run this comeback. Yeah, he got hit by that. Wow, I'm sick. And this was my day one playing the game. There was a lot of people who played the beta that I played against, and they had played the previous beta. I asked them, right? Like I played against a few friends. I like told them what lobby I was in or whatever, and I was like, hey, did you play the first beta? And they're like, yeah, I played the first beta. I'm like, let's get some games. And just with fighting game fundamentals and just kind of understanding what my character's kit wanted to do and what my opponent's character's kit were about, I could at least, take games off of them. Maybe I didn't always beat them because they had a little more experience in the game, had a lot more experience with the defensive mechanics like guard cancel, which I almost never used, and conversion, which you can use to like extend pressure in combos, which I never used. A few of my friends were using those things. So there is going to be extra layers of depth on top that right now people just aren't thinking about. And I really like the game. I'm hoping that the full release is going to maybe be a little bit faster on the movement front for like all characters almost. And that maybe, just maybe, there's going to be some extra mix added in. Maybe make it so the block button doesn't auto-protect you from cross-ups. And make sure every character has a load. Because as of now, I don't think Crusader has a low. I don't think Crusader has a true low. His 2A is not a low. His 2A right there, that is not a low. And that is the only button he has that slightly even looks like a low. And I don't understand how in 2D fighters there's characters who don't have lows. It's very strange to me. That's just one of those, I'm a 3D player where like every character has lows. Like there's nothing you can't avoid lows in 3D fighting games. They have to exist, right? Because it's an inherent mix of mid-low. And in fighting games like this, it's not. It's usually like an inherent mix of strike-throw. And I think that's what the game is all about. And for the most part, I find that extremely. I'm rambling at this point, but I'm rambling because it's a game that I really like and I want to see it do well. And I hope that a lot of people are going to feel the same way about it that I do. Like, I find it really sick. It's very fun. It's very sick. It just has a few things wrong with it, just like every other game does. But if you enjoyed the content and want to watch more, I stream not every weekday. I stream usually every weekday on twitch.tv, Beanie Thuggish. If you're here right now, you already know that. But if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you don't know that I'm a Twitch streamer. You think I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not. And if you think I'm a YouTuber and you enjoy the content, also hit the that'd be sick. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.